Hello, friends. Welcome to Coding Garden. If you're watching this on YouTube when I am not live, because I'm live right now, be sure to check the description or the pinned comment so you can skip ahead to the main content. We're going to hang around in the waiting room for a little bit, so I'll see you soon. Hello, friends. Welcome to Coding Garden. Welcome to a new kind of stream. We're calling it Try Day Friday, and we're going to try something new. Now, if you're used to seeing Listed on Fridays, Listed is not going away. We're just going to find another time to work on Listed. But for now, we're going to see how this goes. Essentially, we're going to get some ideas from chat. I also have a couple ideas of things that I want to try that I haven't tried yet. And we'll pick it, we'll vote on it, and we'll try it. And it can be anything. It can be a front-end framework, a back-end framework. It could be a new language. Like I could try writing Go or Rust or Python or something like that. It also could be like a product. I know there are some HTTP request tools that people have been asking me to try, and maybe there are like some productivity tools as well. So we might try more than one thing, depending on what ideas we have and what people vote on. So welcome in, everyone. It's good to see you all. I'm back again. I mean, I streamed on Wednesday, which was fun. It was good to see everyone. We fixed the Christmas drop game. It was a little late, but we're gonna keep celebrating Christmas at least for a few more days. There was one question I didn't get to answer yesterday. Do I have a YouTube course for JavaScript beginners? I don't, and I probably should. So maybe I'll work on that. I was clearing out old questions, but yeah, I don't have one. I would say the closest thing is, so if you look at my YouTube channel, there is a playlist called Learning Starts Here. And so these are some of the more beginner friendly videos on .javascript, but I don't have anything that's like from scratch, learn to code with JavaScript. And I really should have something like that. I can suggest the fantastic Coding Train, because he has this code ! Playlist. Code. And he teaches the basics of programming with P5.js, which is like a visual thing, which is pretty cool. I would very possibly watch it. Well, that's good to hear, Namaste Geek. So no Listed today, but I've been thinking about, all right, how can we just get some stuff done with Listed? And like, the issue with Listed is even I was getting tired of Listed, right? Like we were doing so much and we weren't making a lot of progress, and then people got disinterested in it as well. I think one of the ideas I was throwing around is like, what if we have a sprint week where I do 5 streams in the week, every single day we're working on Listed, and like we're doing everything we can to launch it like for public alpha. And we do our best. Like the day one is probably just going to be like prioritizing and figuring and actually writing some user stories and figure out how we're going to launch the thing. So that's an idea I have rolling around in my head. I don't know if we're going to do that or not, but it could be fun. And that way it's not slowly chugging along like it had been. So yeah, it's good to see you, Pablo. Welcome in. Yeah, for sure. Oprah. Yeah, and check out Coding Train. He streams on YouTube. He's awesome. Seeking to get out of the blue collar field and really love tech, is coding a good field? Here's the thing. Right now, it's tricky. Right now, the job market is not great for the software industry, especially for entry-level positions. There's just so many entry-level people out there all looking for jobs. It's very hard to find. And it's also harder to find for mid-level and senior. So right now is like, it's not a good time. I would say, though, I don't think this is going to last forever. And if you're wanting to learn, it's possible by the time you know enough and you're employable, the job market will be a little bit better. Obviously, I can't promise anything. But I think so. But here's one of the potential issues we run into, right? So we have this horrible job market right now. People decide, all right, software and programming is not a field that I want to get into because of the horrible job market. And then 2-3 years from now, we have a shortage because there are a bunch of people that didn't get into the industry because of the specific job market right now. So I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to predict what will happen. But I think my last little piece of advice is like, it's good to know how technical things work. So like, to me, knowing how to program, I think, will be very vital whenever the AI and robots take over. because we'll essentially be robot maintenance. And anybody that doesn't know how to maintain robots might not have a job. So yeah. The issue with listed is scope creep. We added way too many features before even starting. Yeah, that's true. And what's up, Good XP? Welcome in. Yeah, there's a lot of things we should get back to. We've done a lot of cool things on Coding Garden. Yeah. The text is black because this is the first message they ever sent on Twitch, I think. It should be fixed for any future messages. Yeah. And what's up? It's 404. Good to see you. Testing in Docker was overkill. It was a lot. It was a lot. Don't go into programming. AI will take all our jobs. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are afraid of right now. But like I said, worst case, anybody that knows how to program and is technical enough will just be like a maintenance person for AI. Like, the AI generated code still needs to be validated by humans. And that's potentially how our jobs are going to shift as we move forward. Moshiko says, it's true. I've been looking for a job for over 4 months in Israel, but I'm still trying. Yeah, it's rough out there. And what's up, Aladbar? Good to see you. Just wondering, how do you create those cool background pictures behind you? Oh, I use Midjourney. Yeah, so it's a tough topic, though, because a lot of artists don't like AI-generated art, but all of my YouTube thumbnails, I use Midjourney to generate them. I mean, I can share the prompt that I use as well. Let me grab that. Oh, not that. That was actually I did a lot today to get everything else working. So I have my overhead cam over here, and we got other scenes. There's the zoom in, and like here I am, and there's that. We've got the be right back. But give me a second. Midjourney, yeah. So I played around a lot with various prompts. But this is the prompt that I use. And we have a channel in our Discord where I think Midjourney has access to it. Yeah, if you go to AI Art. So if you have access to Midjourney, you can actually use the Imagine command in here. But my prompt is, in the style of minimalist travel poster with minimalist color fields, and then insert any scene, and it'll generate interesting art. So let's say like a lake in the mountains in spring. And let's see what we get. But I also have a negative prompt here. So travel posters typically have like text on them. So if I do no text, font, or letters, then it just generates, or most of the time just generates the image without any text on it. So yeah. Any advice on a certain field of coding is not the way? I'm not saying it's not the way. I'm just saying for the next year or so, it's going to be very hard to find a job. I guess if anything, if you're looking for something to do in your spare time, I wouldn't say you shouldn't get into programming, especially if it's just going to be a spare time thing, like for now. But look at these. These are beautiful. Yeah, so I use Midjourney, and then you can pick one. But yeah, these are awesome. And I'm not an artist, so I've been using Midjourney for my thumbnails. There is ethics involved here. Here's the thing. If I knew of an artist that could work in this style and could output things fairly quickly, I would hire them. I just don't know of one or how to find one. So yeah. So yeah, I would say check out this video I posted, what programming language should you learn first, because it talks about the field and various types of programming that you could do, and that might help you decide where to start. And what's up, Johnny Drama? Welcome in. Robot fixing robots might be a possibility. Yeah, that's true. So if they make robots to fix the robots, then they don't need humans to fix the robots. Can we do something related to computer science or machine learning? Like Python? Yeah, I'm open to it. So yeah, I'm catching up on chat as people come in. But if you have ideas for what I should try today, do !idea space followed by whatever you think I should try today. If you think I should try machine learning, type in machine learning. If you have something specific about that, type that in. If you think I should try learning Rust, if you think I should learn htmx, if you think I should try a specific database technology, do it here, and then we'll. Here's the other thing. If you see yours on the list already, then upvote it. So if you do !upvote followed by the number, it'll vote for it. You can also vote for your own. And we'll go with we'll pick one of the ones that has the most votes. I still get the last say in it because it has to be something that I want to try too. But yeah, you can submit your ideas there. What's up, Limor? I really want to change my life and get into a good field involving tech. I here is your encouragement. Go start learning. I mean, the fact that you have enough free time to type in the Twitch chat right now means you have enough free time to go research what you could possibly do, and I believe in you. You can do it. Go do it. AI taking my job doesn't scare me. Well, what will be, will be. I will just learn something else. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing is humans adapt and evolve, and every new piece of technology that has come about, people have always talked about how it's going to take jobs, but like new jobs pop up. Now, we've never really seen something advancing as fast and on the scale as fast as AI is evolving and such. So it might be tricky to say that, yeah, we're just new jobs will pop up for all the jobs that got taken. I don't know. And Vinny's easy. Thank you for the Prime. Yeah. IT isn't just software development, though, for sure. Yeah. So you could get into the tech industry and not be a programmer. You could manage servers. You could work at a help desk, solving like people's technical issues. You could be a technical project manager. There's a lot of things you could do. Yeah. And what's up, my theory? Midjourney already stole our. It's true. It's true. But why are programmers the ones that will lose their jobs? Shouldn't like call center and all those kinds of jobs be more worried? I'm sure they are. I think everyone in any job that can be automated in some way, someone might be worried that their job is going to go away. I'm not worried because I have learned and adapted my entire life and my entire career. So just like the comment here is like, I'll just learn something else. That's the same mentality I have. And I also think that my technical skill set, like I've been programming for over 15 years and I have a lot of experience and knowledge, and I'll figure it out. Yeah. Something in the overhead is cracking? What are you saying here, Nick? I don't know what you're saying. We need some good sysadmins. Yeah, I do think DevOps and system administration is a job that probably won't go away because you're going to need someone to maintain the servers that are running the AI. Now, you could argue that all of that's going to be automated away too, but I don't know. You typically need somebody to physically go into a server room and reboot the thing if it's not responding. I don't know. I guess technically it could be a virtual machine and then you can just use software. But what if the virtual machine hypervisor isn't working? There's probably still sysadmin and DevOps jobs. I like Midjourney to generate quick graphic assets for one-day coding games. Yeah, that's I use it for simple stuff like that as well. What's up, Oscar? Welcome in. Do I upscale the images after generating them? Not these. Just because they're big enough. They're like almost 1920 by 1080, but I'll show you. Like, let's say I really like this mountain one. Let's go with number 2. So if I press this, it'll upscale it one time, and then you can upscale it again and get it even higher definition with one of these buttons. So yeah, if you do upscale 4x, it'll be massive. Yeah, there's also cybersecurity. There's a lot of IT jobs. Why would it be hard to find a job only in the next year? What makes the year after better? What I was saying is I have no idea when or if the job market is going to be any better. I would hope that in about a year's time, maybe it is better. I have no idea if it will be. All I'm saying is there's no better time than now, because as long as you're learning and you're moving towards like getting ready to get a job, eventually, if and when the job market is better, you'll have the skills to actually get a job. That's really all I'm saying. Yeah, that's really all I'm saying. Yeah. For listed, what about pair programming with a few people? That could be fun as well. Yeah. Let's start a little thread in the Discord. Because we could do some other fun stuff like that. Stream suggestions. Signan mentioned doing pair programming. I'd be up for that, right? So if we get some people in that want to help me work on features, we could do that. We could also pair with noobs, so people that know very little, and then I could kind of like walk them through everything. That could be fun. Yeah. What's up, Mark? It has been a while. Welcome in. How do you know where to start learning? It's tricky. It's tricky out there. There are, I mentioned in my last stream, there are a few places, if you're getting specifically into web development, that very much lay it all out for you. Like Free Code Camp is a pure free online curriculum, and they lay everything out for you. The Odin project is another one that just lays it out for you. Kind of, it basically tells you learn this and then learn this and learn this. But this specifically is for web development. Front end and back end web development. There are other aspects of programming like game development and desktop app development and various other stuff like that where you would need to find some other curriculum, but you could probably find some kind of curriculum like that. What's up, Jan? Welcome in. Why does my own user icon show on our own idea submission? Oh, if you vote for yourself. If you vote for yourself, then it'll show the icon on there. I should probably remove that. You shouldn't be able to vote for yourself. This is a meme, but it's also true. To have an AI replace a dev product, teams should be able to specify clear requirements so we are safe. Yeah, yes, I agree with that. People are so bad at specifying what they actually want, because typically, a lot of times people don't actually know what they want until they can start to like use a thing. And then once they start using a thing, then they recognize, oh, well, I really wanted it to do this, or this is what I want. Like that's why quick feedback in Agile works if you do it right. But yeah, robotics will take more jobs than AI, possibly. I'm considering doing something AI related just because it's evolving so fast. I don't know if that's a good motivation though. No, I think it is. I think anyone that, if you make a parallel to like the Apple App Store when that launched back in like 2009 or 2010. Was it then? Anybody that was like building apps back then that built a decent enough app, like a lot of people did really well. And to callers, thank you for the 22 months. So I could make the parallel here where if you're making like a ChatGPT plugin or something like that, or a custom GPT, you're kind of like getting in early. I guess. I don't know. My AI can't program an ESP32. Yeah, it physically can't put it together. You still have to put it together. Yeah. The Mirko on the overhead scene was cracking. What's a Mirko? Oh, the microphone. The microphone was cracking. Is it still cracking right now? I might have to. We're not using that scene. If we use that scene, I'll fix the microphone. Thank you for letting me know. What's up, Baitosho? Spring Boot versus Laravel versus Django. Which one do I prefer? I have only tried each of these. Like built a super basic thing with each one of them, so I don't have a preference. What happens when someone trains an AI to admin the AI servers? People are already doing that. I don't know. I think right now a lot of companies are still recovering from COVID. Yeah, I think a lot of companies are trying to figure out how to not have physical locations and like how to actually be be remote companies and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess it depends on the market that you're in. In the US, it's like, especially in the US, it's really hard for people to find jobs right now. But yeah, I'm guessing other parts of the world might not be that way. Yeah. Anoob, yeah. What's up, Mark Boots? Um, yeah. Oh, in terms of like how to learn or where to start learning, this is a good way to do it. Like a lot of people get into programming in software because they specifically want to build a thing or specifically want to solve a problem. And that's a good way to get into it. But it can be hard early on because you have no idea where to start. Yeah. Yeah. People are better at describing what they don't want. I could agree with that. And Pablo, thank you for the bits. I didn't see that. 10010. Well, not to decimal. Binary to text? Does it just mean hello? Why do none of these sites work? Did you just mash on the keyboard, Pablo? Comma. Great. And Eddie, thank you for the 5. You're too kind. That's awesome. Cool. And what's up, Eliphaz? Welcome in. Okay, the microphone was cracking. That's unfortunate. Where do I find inspiration? I don't know if I do. Where to host a Node.js server? I feel like we have an answer for that. If you have a question, do !ask, and I'll try to get to your questions later. I'm catching up on chat, and then we're gonna pick an idea because people are getting antsy. They're like, pick something so I can decide whether or not I want to actually watch you. So I need to catch up here. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. There was definitely a lot of hype when ChatGPT dropped. But I wouldn't underestimate it though. Yeah. Yeah. What's up, Eddie? Recreate the game Lemmings with Svelte. I think I've heard of Lemmings. I'm not necessarily trying to do something super complex. I just want to try something I haven't tried before. Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, I see. It's 300 in decimal. I get it. I understand now. That's awesome. Do I think web dev will stick around? Been really hard for me to find a job at entry level. Oh, it absolutely will. Like I said, it's possible that jobs are going to change because, I mean, it's possible that some of the more entry-level tasks can be done by AI, but the thing is, the output still needs to be validated by like a more like mid or senior level dev. I don't know. I think the whole industry is going to run into a situation where because they possibly stopped hiring entry level, eventually there will be no one there will be no one that has the skills to validate AI output, possibly. I don't know. We need to stop talking about AI. This is live, Yannick. Welcome in. And Damon, thank you for the prime. Yeah. What's up, Yanni? Have I been able to solve assignments regarding admin of code? Yeah, I stopped admin of code around like day 8 or so, just because it takes up way too much of my time. But yeah. All right, here we go. Yeah, if you want to deploy a Node.js server, check out these services: Railway, Render, or Fly.io. There's several browsers that I have not tried. If you do !idea, we could vote on whether or not we try it. And I haven't heard of SourceGraph. Do I think AI can become sentient? I have no idea. I'm not an expert. What's up, Fohammer? All right. If you suggested an idea, type ! here so we can see everything sorted by number of votes. If you'd like to vote on an idea, do ! upvote followed by the number from this webpage. If you go to vox.coding.garden, you can see all of the things that people have suggested. And I'll pick some of my favorites, and then we'll vote on it. And I mean, htmx is at the top. Everybody wants to see me try htmx, so we'll put that on the list. All right, that moves to the top. .NET API could be fun. A basic front-end framework from scratch. Something with Godot that has at least 2 upvotes. I've never done something. I've never built a game with Godot, so that could be interesting. Let's see. Use this bot. REST API with Rust. There's a couple of votes for that, so maybe we do that. A calculator and TypeScript, machine learning. We could do machine learning, but we would need to narrow it down. Like, what about machine learning? Are we going to train a model, or are we just going to try to use like TensorFlow with Python or something like that? Nitro.js without Nuxt. 4346. An AI chatbot for my Twitch channel. We've tried doing this before. We have tried this. We trained it. We attempted to train it, or not train it. We attempted to create some embeddings based on all of my frequently asked questions. Because we have a bunch of frequently asked questions, and so we created some embeddings based on all these questions and answers, and it did not turn out well. Yeah, it's really hard to build an AI chatbot when Twitch chat has access to it, because they jailbreak it, which means they make it do things it was not intended to do. There's a couple of votes for Laravel as well. All right, I'm going to say no more ideas, but just to give people a chance, if you like one of these things that has been suggested, upvote it. So exclamation mark upvote, followed by the number, so we can make sure that we're not missing any of the more popular ones. Right now, it is sorted by like mods that are subs are at the top, and then VIPs, and then just the regular people below that. So yeah, something math related. That could be fun. Here's the thing. If we have enough time, we'll probably do like 2 or 3 of these. Yeah, I have used Teachable Machine before. Well, I've I learned that from Coding Train. All right. This could work. I was any idea that we don't do, we're gonna keep up here. So like next Friday or the Friday after that, we could potentially get to it. Yeah, just something simple front end. Okay. Here's the thing. This gets less into try category and more of just like interesting content, because I'm not trying anything. I'm just building everything from scratch. Nobody upvoted your suggestion. Oh, there we go. Are these all bot accounts? The thing is, we have done a .NET API on stream before, but it could be fun. All right. Anything else that stands out? Java and Spring Boot? What is Shad CDN? Shadsian, the UI framework. I was looking at this. Here's the thing. To really make it fair, we kind of need a place where all of these can live. Because I eventually want to try all this stuff. Okay. AST manipulation, genetic algorithms. I think for my first try day, I want to try something that I don't want to create something from scratch or like write an algorithm from scratch. I want to use a thing. Yeah, we should probably use Discord for this. But yeah, okay. We have a big old list. Let me prioritize it by things that I've been wanting to learn, and then we'll vote. How many things can we vote on in a poll? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have to pick 5. So htmx at the top. I think Rust was pretty high on there. Laravel. What had the most upvotes? So .NET had 4 upvotes via bot accounts. And then it could be interesting. So here's the thing. If I combine Rust with htmx, then I'm learning 2 things at once. That might be a little too much. I mean, I just say that because nobody had these are all like default Twitch icons. They're probably not bots. I was just saying. All right, htmx and Laravel and .NET are all really high up. Machine learning is also very high up. Godot is like right below that. Cool. Where is Rust on this list? There's just a couple of votes for Rust. All right. This is our list. This is our list. Everything else is going to still stay on the list, but this is what we're going to vote for first. So, htmx, .NET, Laravel, Rust, something machine learning. This is the tricky part, is machine learning is like very open-ended, so we'd have to figure out what exactly we want to do with that. What do I like the most? None of these. All of this is going to be. It's going to be tricky. And Ryan says, Emma says, "Hey, what's up, Emma? You don't know her, but she knows your voice from all the Coding Garden I watch. Nice. I hope you're doing good, Emma." Yeah, I don't have a vote. We're gonna leave this open for 5 minutes. Vote now. I'll put a poll over on YouTube as well. I can't fit machine learning on the list. How is machine learning doing? Okay. Machine learning, we've ruled out machine learning for now anyways. All right, htmx has 25 votes. And I mean, a lot of people want to see htmx. Yeah, well, I mean, to keep it easy enough for me, first of all, we need to learn what htmx is. I've only seen it in passing. I've seen people talk about it. But I'm guessing they have different backend implementations, right? So do they have a Node.js backend implementation? Do they have a Rust backend implementation? I would need to learn about that, and then we would have to choose one. Because it is brand new to me, I would probably just do it alongside with Node.js if I can. I actually don't know if I can. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, well, I would just need to find the Node.js integration. Yeah, we definitely we could try quick in the future for sure. All right. While the vote is happening, I will read you a story. I have this book, Computers, that my wife found at the thrift store. Is published in 1977, edited by D. Van Tassel, and it is a collection of short stories about computers and technology. 1977, yes. So we're gonna read the second short story in here, called "The Perfect Crime," and before that we have a quote or a poem or something. Said a mellow old robot named Newman, "When a man does not act with acumen, but is clumsy and coarse, I consider the source and remember that he's only human." Okay. This short story is called "The Perfect Crime" by Richard T. Sandberg. Let's see. Oh gosh, it's a long one. The last one was only a page. Maybe we'll read like one page of it. Maybe it'll be like a cliffhanger for later on. Richard T. Sandberg is a graduate of the University of Minnesota and has studied computer programming and data processing at UCLA. He lives in the Los Angeles area and writes a story when his busy schedule allows it. The Perfect Crime won a prize in computer-related story contest. All right, here we go. Finding Alice by using a computer had been a stroke of genius. The idea had come to him when he saw an ad for a computer service that claimed to give scientific help in finding a mate. He hadn't really expected it to work at first, but now he had to admit that the results were exceeding all his expectations. Of course, as far as he was concerned, it was basically a business proposition. What he had been after had been a woman with money whom he could subsequently separate from that money. He had done it before, and he had achieved a state of perfection through practice that left him with a sense of boredom. Finding out whether a computer could select for him a wife victim, this might be a little too, I don't know. Okay, well, we might stop reading. We'll see. For him, a wife victim would be a more precise word. Better than he could do so himself added a spice of interest to this affair. "I'm a man of substantial means. You have my permission to check my financial condition if you doubt that," he had told the man at the computer service. "Therefore, I don't want to risk being victimized by a gold digger. I want the woman you pair me with to have a substantial amount of money too, so that the desire to acquire more will be eliminated as a motive on her part." "I understand, sir," the man at the computer marriage service said. "Every effort will be made to accommodate you in that direction." And it looks like htmx won with 39 votes. And it's kind of the winner over here too. Looks like we're doing htmx. I'll read one page of the story and then we'll jump into htmx. "I understand, sir," the man at the computer marriage service said. "Every effort will be made to accommodate you in that direction. However, the proper selection of a mate involves a detailed comparison of many traits of character and an analysis of how a pairing of those traits have resulted in the past in unsuccessful marriages. This is a task that can properly be accomplished only by a computer. That is why we ask each of our clients to take a psychological test, the results of which are stored in the computer's memory." This is interesting because it came out in 1977, and now, I mean, we have online dating services, right? And so this is kind of like what imagining what a dating service would be like in the future. The test questions seemed straightforward enough, so he answered them as honestly as he could. After all, what did he have to hide? A liking for money and the things that it would buy wasn't itself reprehensible. If it were, all of us would have reason for shame to some extent. Besides, very few of the questions referred to money at all. They all seemed very innocuous. All right, we'll catch up on that later. Let's get in here. What's up, Enox? There are better ways to get help on the internet. So first of all, you've been asked to create a scene. In what? Is it a specific programming language? Is it a specific framework? Is it a specific, like game library or game framework? And if that's the case, whichever thing it is, there's very likely a help forum dedicated to that you can find on the web. Maybe there's a Discord. Maybe you could ask on Stack Overflow. But you need to target your question at people that are going to be more likely to know what you're talking about, because I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Let's do it. We're going to do htmx. All of these other ideas that were suggested will be in the future. Are you hearing a crackling noise? I'm hoping it could be my noise cancellation. And Roga, thank you for the tier 1. Sound is good here. Okay. Okay. We picked htmx. We have a Discord, but I was mentioning there are probably other Discords. Like there's probably whatever game framework or game library that you're using, there's very likely a Discord where they could help you. Like we have a general help forum, but I still don't know what you're asking for or what you need help with. All right. What are we gonna make in htmx? We don't know yet. So we're gonna make a game plan for how we're gonna try this thing. Step 1 is learn. We want to know, what is htmx? What is it used for? What can we build with it? And we also want to know, how do we get started? All right, this is where we start. And then once we get here, we'll actually like write some code. But first we need to figure out what it is. Or like, yeah, well, I guess why should we use it? Yeah, and that's the thing, is I've seen the Twitter memes about it. I've read about it as well, but we're gonna properly sit down and learn it. So here's their website, htmx.org, high power tools for HTML. HTMX gives you access to Ajax, CSS transitions, WebSockets, and server-sent events directly in HTML using attributes, so you can build modern user interfaces with the simplicity and power of hypertext. HTMX is small, dependency-free, and extendable. It's IE11 compatible and has reduced code base sizes by 67% when compared to React. Thank you, Gopher Code. Welcome in. So here's the motivation for it. Why should only anchor tags and forms be able to make HTTP requests? Why should only click and submit events trigger them? Why should only get and post methods be available? Why should you only be able to replace the entire screen? By removing these arbitrary constraints, HTMX completes HTML as a hypertext. And so this already was my basic understanding of what HTMX can do, where essentially the code can replace elements of the page based on the response of a server. So for example, we pull in the library. So this is one thing I didn't realize, is it actually is just a client-side library. And the backend, your backend that you create is literally just returning HTML, because whenever this button is clicked, it's going to make a post request to the backend at this route /clicked. And whatever the response is will be replaced right here on this button. That's it. I can build a Node.js app that returns HTML from a post request to a URL. I can do that. So that's easy. That's easy. That's great. So hx post and hs swap attributes on this button tell HTMX. When a user clicks on this button, issue an Ajax request to /clicked and replace the entire button with the HTML response. That's easy. We know the entire framework now. We're happy to announce the release of a book, etc. Cool. Okay, so here is what I'm tempted to do. based on their homepage, I just want to make this work without even reading the docs. Let's do that because that will be fun, and we'll see if it really is as easy as they say. So I'm going to create a directory trying htmx, and I'm going to make this a. I guess I kind of want a Node API. I want a client, and I guess I don't want a client and a server. I literally just want. I guess I could have an Express API that serves up the HTML file. I don't want to combine it with anything else that's new to me because I really haven't worked with Astro much. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create an Express API. We're going to do it because I have a package called Create Express API. I made it myself. This is mine. It's a little starter template. And we can make it with TypeScript. Actually, let's create a directory for it. So my Create Express API creates a pure JSON API, but we'll need to augment it potentially with server-side rendering. Initially, we don't even need that. We could literally just send back HTML. So here we go. We have an Express app. It's serving up JSON data. So this root response of my Express app just turns up this JSON object. But what we want to do is serve up an HTML file instead. So I'm going to create a public directory. Serve up that. I mean, I guess I technically don't even need that. I could even server-side render the initial page, but I'm gonna just use what I know along with what I just learned on the homepage to make it work. So we have a public directory. Inside of that, we have an index.html. We'll just create a basic HTML file. And then let's get this page served up. So in my Express app, right here, we need to add the static file handler. So if I do app.use express.static, and then I specify the public folder. Do I have path in here? I don't have path. I think I can just do a relative path. Like this, and then I'm going to get rid of my root handler because this root handler was serving back JSON, but now when a request comes in, it'll first look in the public folder to see if it can serve it up. Let's see if I did that right. I did that right. I at least know what I'm doing. That's a great idea, Oscar. We're going to add Pico. This is something else that I already know how to use. Pico CSS gives us basic styles. Think of it like Bootstrap, but we don't have to add classes on anything. So if I do this, now instantly, it looks nice. It has a better font and background and everything. We could even do, I think they have a container class. Yeah, like that. Awesome. So it's not like Tailwind because there are basically no classes that you need to use. So if you look at their example on their homepage, literally just by adding a form and an input to the page, it has this styles by default. You don't have to add classes. Buttons automatically look like that. No classes needed. Basically, it has default styles for everything, so you don't have to specify classes on anything. It's really good for just like rapid prototyping. Okay, we have a web page. Now we want to do a thing. And what this example is telling us to do is to load htmx from a CDN. So this is literally just going to load the library into the page. I kind of want to load it here at the bottom of the body. And then now we're going to have a button that says click me, right? And what should happen is it makes a post request to my backend, but that my backend's going to respond with a 404. So if the library is working, then we're just gonna see like a JSON error added into the page. I see. Part of my Express API, I have a strict content security policy because my Express APIs typically don't serve up any HTML or JavaScript or anything. They just serve up JSON. So I need to disable. Yeah, Helmet is preventing it with its content security policy. So I'm just going to disable the content security policy for now. Can I do it like this? There we go. Now I click this. 404 not found. So I need a backend route /clicked that will return some HTML. I'm just going to do it in the root right here. So when someone makes a request to /clicked, I am going to send some HTML. I'm just going to send back an H2 that says, good job. And that should do it. So if I click this, it says, good job. It's that easy. It's that easy. We could, yeah. So, I mean, at this point, we know how to create backend routes. We could do whatever we want at this point, right? We could have put this route anywhere. We could have put it in like /API or whatever. And then as long as it's returning HTML, you're good to go. This is amazing. All right, I need to update my title because people should know what I'm working on. All right, any questions so far? Because that was easy. That was htmx. No, we need to figure out, we need to build something proper with it. So we'll go to their docs, we'll learn a little bit more, we'll see what else it's capable of, and then figure out if we actually want to, what else we want to build. What's up, Alka? Welcome in. Okay. Oscar says adding htmx to my resume. What's the name of my library? Create Express API is the one. It basically just clones a Git repo called Express API Starter. These are two starter Express apps that I created. One is with TypeScript, one is with just JavaScript. Yeah, I think who was it? Yeah, Deepam asked or mentioned, I would want to see how a regular web page would look like this. I think that means we probably should build a to-do app with htmx. We should build a to-do app to kind of see what would happen if we built a to-do app with it. Yeah, and what's up, Judge JLo? Yeah, we're trying htmx. How would you keep the button? There's probably here I am just guessing. If I were the creator of htmx, instead of hx swap, I would have an attribute called like hx target, and then specify like an ID or a selector, and then whatever the response is would go to that element that matches that selector. That's how I would do it. We'll see. We'll look at the docs to see if that is what exists. And Amazing says, I've been learning HTML and CSS for 4 years, and I know the basics of them. Is it a good chance to move on to Tailwind? Yeah, I think if you know the basics of CSS, you're absolutely ready for Tailwind, because the thing about Tailwind is it is just CSS. So like you should know about layout and style and everything else, because you're gonna have to know those things to know what to search for inside of Tailwind, because you can basically think of every property you've ever used in CSS is a Tailwind class. That's like a gross simplification of it, but that's one way to think about it. And so if you don't know those CSS properties, you won't know what Tailwind classes to look for. So if you know the basics of CSS, you can definitely jump into Tailwind. How does it work? I mean, is this the point where we write our own htmx? Like I could write a library that makes this work. Absolutely, I could absolutely do this. I could recreate this myself. Welcome in, Alka. Good to see you. What if I send back JSON? It'll literally put JSON into the page. Check it out. Oh, actually, it might be like object. Let's see. It stringified it. good for them. I guess it didn't. No, it didn't stringify it because it would just get back the text response and not parse it as JSON. So yeah, literally whatever my backend sends back, it is going to replace that element with whatever it sent back. And thank you, Razorson. Thank you for the 15 months. So you need a server specifically to serve HTML instead of JSON. Yeah, so you need a server that's going to be responding to all of these basic requests. Is TypeScript an option when you're setting it up? It is literally just a library running on the HTML page. Not that one. This. It's literally running on the HTML page itself. So maybe there is a plugin for VS Code that like gives us IntelliSense in terms of like what attributes we have access to. But other than that, I don't know where TypeScript would really even come into play. Build a voting app? I like that idea. Build a list. Yeah, I'm mainly avoiding doing this because of potential injection, right? So like because I allow people to embed HTML and such in my overlay, if my overlay was credentialed, right? If my overlay could send messages, then someone could find an exploit where they send a message in Twitch chat or YouTube chat that somehow, if my app is vulnerable, sends a message on my behalf. So that's why I've avoided doing this for so long. Obviously, I could do my best to make sure that it's secure, but yeah. Front end is dead now. There is an HX target too. See, I guessed it. I don't know flex or grid. That's all right. I mean, you could also like learn these as you go, but basically you would need to learn how does flexbox work, how does grid work, before you could use those specific Tailwind classes. Because the classes in Tailwind for layout literally are flexbox and literally are grid. You can replace content using an ID so you can keep your buttons nice. Can I tease you with the extra challenge of making this progressively enhanced? How do I do that? I don't know. What about local storage? Do we have to use vanilla.js to access it? Probably. I don't know if they have anything built in for that. It's possible maybe they have an attribute where you like specify a key in local storage and then that gives you the JSON data and you can like iterate over it. Yeah, what's up, Razorson? Now put in a JavaScript alert. I like that idea. Let's hack our own app. Wait. we need to cross-site script it. Like this. Uncaught syntax error expression got. All right, so I got a 404 on that. Did it strip the on error? Oh, my syntax is wrong. Yeah, this will work. Pwned. So yes, it is vulnerable to cross-site scripting for sure. But naturally it would be, because we are literally, the way that it works is literally inserting HTML elements into the page. So yes, it's vulnerable because that's the point, right? You wouldn't use this with an untrusted backend, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah. Oh, I need to make sure that there's no JavaScript and the post request can still be made with normal form. I see. That's tricky because you have all of these attributes that only work with this JavaScript library. Yeah, that's very tricky to do. Yeah. Cool. How would you do something like modals with htmx? Use the platform. So there is the there's that new thing. What is it called? The dialogue? Yeah, the dialogue element. So use the dialogue element, I would think. Yeah. All right, let's learn some more. Actually, let's take some notes and also talk about like what we're gonna do next. Okay, so what is htmx? It's a front-end library. I literally never heard anyone mention that, and that fits better in my brain in terms of knowing what htmx is. htmx is a front-end library. What is it used for? Making HTML pages interactive without extra JavaScript. Everything is done through HTML attributes. Cool. What can we build with it? Anything front end? Must have a custom backend that responds with HTML. So would it be more like React or more like Next? It would be more like Next in that things are server-side rendered, but Next is hybrid, does hybrid rendering. So Next also supports like client-side rendering. I guess technically we're kind of doing client-side rendering here. Yeah, there is no server-side rendering here. We could do server-side rendering, but the way that I'm doing this right now is actually, I wouldn't call server rendered. I think like technically the stuff I'm returning from my backend, you could call server rendered, but right now because I've hard coded it, I wouldn't really even call this server rendering. It's not like dynamic. I'm not dynamically generating templates, but I probably will be at some point. So that's the server-side rendering aspect of it. And then I guess the client-side aspect of it, like single page application, is the fact that I don't leave this page when I click this button. So it's kind of hybrid. But the non-React-ish aspect of this is that I'm not writing code to take JSON data and then format it into adding to the page. We're literally just inserting the response into the page. Right? HX disable. See, they thought about that. Awesome. So that will I guess, does it like purify it? Disables htmx processing for the given node and any child nodes. Cool. All right, so htmx is a front-end library. We can make HTML pages interactive without any extra JavaScript. Everything is done through HTML attributes. We could build anything that requires that we want to on the front end. It must have a custom backend that responds with HTML. Why should we use it? We haven't gotten there yet. we haven't read about, well, what makes this better than anything else that we're doing. I would think that anyone that isn't as comfortable with front end JavaScript, right? So like, because your backend can literally be anything, devs that are already used to building backends with Rust or Go or whatever else might be interested in this because they don't have to learn a front end framework. Add authentication. Yeah, at that point, we probably wouldn't just have a plain old HTML page. At that point, every page we serve up would be server-side rendered. And probably I think that's what we're going to want to do next. Is instead of just serving up this HTML page, we're also serving up server-side rendered stuff with like a view engine. Yeah, we can read more about we're getting ahead of ourselves. I'm sure we literally only looked at the homepage. This is literally all we've done so far. We have a lot more to learn. Cool. How do we get started? Add htmx to an HTML page. Just like we would add any other JS lib with a script tag. This is what was new to me. I didn't actually realize that it literally is just running on the web page. It has nothing to do with your backend. Basically, they have things that you can use, and as long as your backend responds in the right ways, we'll just work with htmx. That's pretty cool. Yeah, this is htmx. You can read it while I catch up on chat. And what's up, Chris? Welcome in. What's a roguelike? This is a gamer reference that I don't really play games, so I don't know the nerd. A role-playing game traditionally characterized by a dungeon crawl through procedurally generated levels. I don't get the reference. Maybe I was talking about that earlier? Taking a short break from trying to build C# bindings for GPT for all so I can embed it with a Unity game. Fascinating. And iFerk is saying, I would think that server-side rendering only requires a server to generate the final HTML rather than sending JSON, then the client side then renders into HTML. Yeah. I think any backend that is sending dynamically created HTML is server-side rendering. I think we can agree on that. But yeah, if I wanted to do authentication with this, I would have a server-side rendered backend that like would only render pages if the correct cookies are set and such, and then would only respond if the correct cookies were sent in the request. I feel like doing it all with vanilla JS and HTML and CSS is far more complicated to learn than just using a framework, no? No, I think it is more complicated, but I would say a lot of people that like HTMX don't want to learn React or don't want to learn Angular or Vue. Like they, maybe not that they don't want to, like maybe they don't have the time to, or maybe they don't want to get involved with the complexities of like front-end frameworks and front-end development. And this makes it so that all the front-end code you write are just attributes, and all of the logic can stay on the back end like you're used to. It's amazing the effort we put into to not use JavaScript. Yeah. Yeah. Kind of like jQuery but for HTML. I think that's a good analogy. Yeah. It basically adds all these new features to HTML. Yeah. Add voting to Vox. Can you send that in Discord so we don't lose it, Oscar? I like that. Oh. Feel free to make a PR, Roga Dev. We did this at one point to make the emotes look better, and then we like lost the spacing on the emotes. And thanks for the stretch, Fob. We've been going at it. The htmx site has a real-world React to htmx port. Fascinating. True, don't want to invest in React. Yeah, I mean, React is complicated. Like, when you choose React, you're not just choosing React. You're choosing to make a bunch of other choices about, like, state management and component libraries and how do you handle styles and you have to make a bunch of other decisions as well. I would be curious, like, what does a large htmx code base look like? Like, at what point does it start to get more complicated? Something just fell. But I think the other aspect here is, like, this is working off of server-side rendering. So, like, you're building something where you're going to have to handle all of the interactions that the clients are making. And you have the overhead of generating HTML versus just returning JSON. Yeah. Make the drop game on my screen. And well, what an idea we had before is like I could swat away the drop game. We've never gotten that advanced though. Yeah. Yeah. What's up, Jay Harhead? We're learning htmx. That's what we're doing right now. I have not heard of that. Okay, let's keep learning. So we had a bunch more. We answered all of this just by trying it, but let's read their docs and see what else we can learn. All right. htmx is a library that allows you to access modern browser features directly from HTML rather than using JavaScript. To understand htmx, first let's take a look at an anchor tag. This anchor tag tells a browser when a user clicks on this link, issue a GET request to blog, load the response into the browser window. But with that in mind, consider the following bit of HTML. When the element is clicked, make a post request to /clicked. The response of that post request should be targeted to the element with ID parent div, and we should swap out the outer HTML. That is what this will do with htmx. And let's try it. So we can take our existing example. And then to change it, now we need an element with an ID of parent div. Waiting for click, and then when we click, it's going to replace that element. See? See? Now, any element, not just anchors and forms, can issue HTTP requests. Any event, not just clicks or form submissions, can trigger requests. Now, any HTTP verb can be used. Now, any element, not just the entire window, can be the target for update by a request. Note that when you're using htmx on the server side, you typically respond with HTML, not JSON. This keeps you firmly with the original web programming model. It's worth mentioning, if you prefer, you can use the data prefix when using htmx. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's dependency-free, browser-oriented. Huh. All right. The core of htmx is a set of attributes that allow you to issue AJAX requests. We have get, post, put, patch, delete. We can trigger requests. Input text area and select are triggered on the change event. Form is triggered on the submit event. Here's a div that posts to mouse entered when a mouse enters it. Fascinating. A trigger can also have a few additional modifiers. Once, so only do it once. There's also change, delay, and throttle. And then from with the CSS collector. Listen for the event on a different element. This can be used for things like keyboard shortcuts. Yeah, so if you want like analytics. Yeah. Yeah, they're turn-in still toad. It's like all the things that I know how to build. It's like, all right, well, how would I now build this with htmx? You can use these attributes to implement many common UX patterns, such as active search. All right. When key up or changed, the key up or changed event happens on input. With the delay of 500 milliseconds, we will then make a GET request to trigger delay. I see. So this is like building an autocomplete. Ah. Fascinating. Yeah, so after a delay of 500 milliseconds, yeah, it's debouncing. It's a 500 milliseconds debounce, makes a request to the backend, and then the autocomplete is filled in there in the search results. The plot thickens. All right. How about this? We have been creating a solution to an interview style problem, but we solved it in multiple ways. Let me pull up the code. It would be very interesting to try and do it with htmx, because So like recreate the same solution, but with htmx. What did we call that thing? Was it the interview? Autocomplete? Yeah, Autocomplete UI Showdown. So if you saw this, we literally recreated the same autocomplete UI with Angular, Preact, React, Solid, Svelte, Vanilla.js, Vue.js. I do need to fix it. I'm not going to fix it today, though, but I need to fix that. But thank you for the hydrate, Lester. What if we recreated this with htmx? What if that's our task? Because if we look at what are the things that the page does, we have a UI input, so the user can type, and then the list of a place where the suggestions can show up below it. When the filter changes, get the latest results. We need to show a loading indicator. Ooh, we haven't figured out how to do that just yet. But I'm guessing they very likely have a HX loading or HX progress. And if that is true, then it'll display something. Show the suggestions. If there was an error, show an error. That's interesting, as well as like, how do we do error handling with indicators? Okay, indicators. But the other thing is error handling. So if the server responds with an error, how do we display that on the page in the right way? This is also interesting. I haven't read about how we would do this, but on key up or on key changed, what if I actually want to clear out the search results locally? Like, it's possible that we could do a server-side request that returns an empty div and then that replaces the element, but is there a way to do it locally that says, like, on key up or key changed, empty out an element? We have debouncing built in, and I'm guessing aborting or canceling requests is kind of built in, because like if a secondary request is made, these everyone has the loading spinner. These all present very interesting challenges that I have not seen solutions for yet in htmx. They probably exist. They probably exist, but it gets much more complicated than like a simple to-do app, because you have loading states, error states, you need to cancel requests. There's a lot more involved. Inline some JavaScript, but is that legal? Are we allowed to do that? Okay, load fires once when the element is first loaded. You can do polling. We have request indicators. All right. Let's take a quick poll. Should we try to recreate this with htmx? Or pick another, because there's other things we could do. We could build a to-do app, or, there's other things we could do. But I want you to vote on this right now. Does it make sense to try and figure out how to do these things with htmx? Do you want to see that? Vote now. Yes, we do. Let's see. I mean, some people learn about it. They're like, oh, that's boring. And that's okay. That's okay. To do versus voting versus autocomplete. You have a good idea, Oscar. Let's do that. The thing is, are you saying that we would build like a polling system, like a way to vote for things? I'm not clear on what you want that there, or I'm not clear on what you're asking for there. Like, or do we have something like where people can basically recreating Vox, where people can submit things and then other people can upvote them? Is that what you're saying, Oscar? Please clarify. Yeah. Okay. So most people do want to see it. I'll let you vote though on the other possible options. I see. So building an actual voting app, building something useful. I don't think I would pick htmx to build a voting app. Well, because voting involves real time, right? So we need like WebSockets or something like that. With htmx, I guess technically we could do polling. This does not seem like the technology to build a real-time app. They have WebSockets? Experimental support. It's experimental. I'm not going to try it. We've tried way too many experimental things. You're boring. Listen, I've been burned too many times by experimental things. What could possibly go on? All right, and we need one other possible idea. I guess like we could do like an image search page. Like that's one of the other. So I used to do a thing called the front end showdown where I built the same app with a bunch of front end frameworks, and in that one we built a page that allows users to search for images and then displays the results below. So that's another option as well. Okay, these are your three options. Do we build a to-do app, an autocomplete UI, or image search page? Server sent events are not experimental. It says has experimental support for both WebSockets and server sent events. Oh, but these are extensions. Fascinating. This tells me that, all right, if there's some feature that's not supported by htmx that I want it to support or to do, then I could build my own extension. They have an extension for errors? Yeah, we'll have to find it. I'm not in the mood. I'm just not in the mood to do real time. I'm really not. Maybe in the future, but for now, not in the mood. All right, so autocomplete. Oh, it was close though. It was very close. Honestly, if we get autocomplete UI done, we'll build the image search page too, because we'll have learned everything we needed to get that going as well. So don't fret. We will do interesting things. Let's go. Let's build the thing. This is what I want to. This is what I want to implement, and we're gonna do it with htmx. Now, I am going to set up server-side rendering. Like instead of just serving a single HTML page like this, I actually want to render that page because there are going to be other things that I might want to render with templates and such that I want to use a templating language for. So let's set that up first. Let me make a little to-do list of what we're going to do. Cool. This is what we want to build. We need to set up SSR templating library. Great. First of all, I will show you the autocomplete UI thing that I was talking about. If you look on my YouTube channel, all the old live streams are there. I think there's a playlist of them too. But basically, we recreated what we're about to create. We've already done with all of these other frameworks. So it will be interesting to see how it works with htmx, because this is going to involve server-side rendering. All of the other solutions were completely client-side and client-based. There was no backend for those other solutions. Is there a way to update the HTML without doing a request to the backend? Maybe? But why would you want to do that? Oh, maybe I don't know. Out of band swaps? If you want to swap content from a response directly into the DOM by using the ID, you can use hx swap OOB. I don't know if that's what we're needing or talking about. Response targets. I see. So if it's a error status code, then we swap out a different target. Yeah, fascinating. This could be good. Thank you, Anurag. Yeah. Yeah, so this is on YouTube right now, right here, right now. So if you go to my YouTube channel, I'm live over there too, and it's gonna stay there when this is over. Use JSX with bun, it will be type safe. Well, we could use JSX with Express. I do believe there's Express JSX template engine. Now this is not Next.js. This is basically using the JSX syntax as templates in an Express app. Because I guess if you're not familiar, let's talk about this, because we're about to get into server-side rendering territory, which we don't normally do on this stream. And Express has built-in support for templating languages. And Jaicom, thank you for that stretch. Using templating engines. And so if you've ever heard of Pug or EJS or Handlebars, there's a few others. All of those are templating languages that basically allow you to express HTML, and you can express it so that it can like render dynamic data inside of it. And that's typically what we want to do when we're doing server-side rendering. So this is an example of Pug. It's like a very terse HTML. You don't have to use the angle brackets or anything like that. So this represents an HTML page. And then message and title are dynamic properties. And then when we render the page, we can replace title with the value hey, and we can replace message with the value hello there. So this is Pug. We are not going to use Pug. There's Jade, Mustache, Dust, EJS. Yeah. Well, we're gonna see GT Kreis. Like, if we can build the autocomplete UI with htmx, then yeah, it seems like it could work. Honestly, we'll vote on a templating language too, because I don't even think I can. I can choose. So, Pug will be an option. JSX will be an option, and then EJS will be an option. These are going to be our two options, and I'll show you what each of them looks like. Did Pug used to be called Jade, or is Jade the new thing? Jade is the old thing? I can't even remember now. It's been so long. All right, Jade was the old. Okay, so Pug is the new one, but we do vote a lot. Let me show you some examples. Yeah, so here are some examples of what you can do with Pug. So like if you want to repeat some items, it looks like this. If you want a p tag with a value set to it, it looks like this. Conditionals look like this. We could also just create our own with HTML file replace. Yeah. Yeah, we have switch cases. I think the it is pretty ugly. Where did we find repeating? Yeah, so repeating uses a each or a for. Okay, so that's pug. EJS is this. You might have seen this before. You see these little templates with the percent sign and the equal. It gets pretty verbose. So your conditionals end up looking like this. Yeah, there are some other languages. I think like in the .NET world, they use a templating language that looks like EJS. Yeah, so that's what Limotes is saying. I think they took inspiration from this. But yeah, how do we do a list? How do we render a list of items? To me, that's always the test. Which is like, do they have an each block? Oh, do we literally just join it on a comma? That's weird. It's like classic ASP in disguise. Oh my goodness. We literally just use JavaScript. This is like JSX with extra steps. We literally do a for each and then render out a thing for each item. Fascinating. Okay. And then the other option is to use JSX, but we have to find the right library. So JSX alone doesn't just work with Express. We need to find someone that has created a templating engine library that will work with Express. And this is different than like Next.js. Because there basically we'll be writing code that looks like React, but it is not at all dynamic. It is purely just there to create HTML. Yeah, you're right. We also could just use template literals. I've never heard of Kita.js. This looks cool. This looks very cool. Maybe. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm discovering as well. Like JSX is like as a templating language compared to these other templating languages, it's pretty decent. It's pretty decent. HTML templates have never been this easy. Type safe, plain TypeScript with a minimal runtime footprint. Cool. This looks nice. Why can't I find like a really popular library? I mean, none of these have even 1,000 stars. We might lose a lot. I feel like I've seen something in the past. Like give me a list of templating engines. Pug, Haml, EJS, handlebars. I mean, honestly, HBS. Of all the ones we've looked at, Pug, EJS, I would actually prefer handlebars. Let me show you what handlebars looks like. It looks like this. It'll be familiar to you if you've seen Vue or Angular 1. It's not necessarily outdated. I think it's still maintained. It's just people don't use it as much. Yeah, so their repeating uses like the each. So yeah, handlebars could be cool too. This looks like Jinja. Yeah, I haven't heard of Jinja. All right, we're taking way too long. I need to find one good. This is Express Engine JSX. I might want to just use this though, because this is ready to go with Express. So you say render, you specify the name. I think this is the way to go. If we were going to choose JSX. We have a middleware. Well, I feel like there was one that I came across that was like use JSX in your backend, in your Express backend. Express React views. Yeah, I mean, we could just use React directly. So render to static markup. That seems like too much work, though. I just want to be able to use it as like a view engine. We could be using Hono right now. You're right. All right. Works everywhere. I mean, this one looks cool. I just don't know how we use it as a view engine. Do the React render to string. This one looks like this one res.html and then like reactom.render to string. Yeah. But you miss out on basically this, the ability to do res.render, specify a specific template. Honestly, I'm just going to use this one. I'm going to use this one because that gives me those things, and that's really all I want to do. Okay. Oh, if we were to choose it, you still get to vote. So let me let you vote on this now. Yeah, we're gonna vote on it. So here are your options. We have Pug. So Pug is very terse. You have code that looks like this that generates HTML that looks like this. So like basically Pug gets rid of the greater thans and less thans and makes it really easy to write HTML. You could write code like this that generates HTML that looks like that. EJS, if you've ever seen these little percent signs, basically in between the percent signs, you can render things. And so anything in between inside the percent signs is actual JavaScript. And so if I wanted to like repeat over a list, I could do this. And then for every item, I could render out a specific template for that item. And then you could do conditionals like this. And then there's also handlebars. So handlebars, if you've ever used Vue.js or Angular 1, you're very familiar with this syntax. This is handlebars. And then lastly, just plain old JSX. So we could have everything you know about JSX could work, but we're rendering it on the server side. So which do we want to use? Do we want Pug, EJS, handlebars, or JSX? I'll give you 5 minutes to vote so I can take a quick break. And then we'll start building, or at least try to set it up. All right. Vote now. Voting for JSX, yeah. The thing is, React is different than JSX, right? I know a lot of times we think about them as the same, but JSX is how you express your components in React. But JSX can be used outside of React. React is more so like how your app is running on the front end, like state management, the render cycle, those kinds of things. We don't have to worry about any of that. All we have to worry about is the rendered HTML from a JSX, from a function that returns JSX. We're not even worrying about the virtual DOM. Typically, that's why we're using that's what's associated with JSX when you're using React, is like you're thinking about the virtual DOM and like how the page is rendering the components and stuff like that. We don't have to worry about any of that. We literally will just say render, and that is it. It'll just spit out an HTML string based on that component and based on the data you sent to be rendered for that component, and that is all. We don't care about any of the other stuff that you have to worry about with React. So yeah. React with JSX is a popular and effective templating engine for Express, allowing server-side rendering of components for a seamless full-stack JavaScript application. ChatGPT. Nice. Nice. Voting for Pug so I can enjoy the pay. Yeah, it would be fine. Pug, like once you get used to Pug, you can be really fast with it. I don't know if Alka still uses Pug, but Alka used to send me code snippets where he wrote the whole thing, like the whole UI with Pug, just because it's so fast. Like you don't have any of the greater thans or less thans. Like it's just, you can write HTML really quick. Yeah. We'll try to use TSX. That could make the setup go longer, but we'll try to use TSX. Yeah. Cool. All right, you have like roughly 2 minutes left to vote. I'm gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna set up a templating engine. So here we go. right, we're back. And Skoric says, longtime viewer, do I consider looking at Advent of Code problems again? I don't. So I stopped working on Advent of Code, I think like on day 8. It just got to a point of things I problems I can't solve without like spending a few hours on them, and that's not as fun for me. So I typically only do like the first few days. What's up, America 2050? Welcome in. All right, so if you're just joining us, we're learning htmx today, and we're building a Node.js backend that responds to an htmx client, and we needed server-side rendering. Based on the poll, it looks like JSX has won, so we're going to be building an Express app that renders pages with JSX. And in order to do that, we're going to use this library called Express Engine JSX, and that allows us to do the classic rendering of a template, but that template can be JSX. So we're gonna use this. Let's set it up. Let's set it up. So we need all these things. So we already have ourselves an Express app. We're gonna install Express Engine JSX, React, and React DOM. I think I also want types React and types React DOM. I think. Let's make sure, because we're using TypeScript. Yeah, and that's a good point, Chapman. By default, if we're using a templating engine, it's going to do some level of sanitization. Yeah, so React uses definitely typed, and React DOM uses definitely typed. Okay. Okay, so we have it installed. Now, in our Express app, we need to pull in the view engine. Why is this complaining? Cannot read my TS config? What happened? Oh. I need to open this in the folder itself. Think? Okay. I'm just gonna ignore this. And hopefully it works. Okay, so it sets up the views directory. So I'm gonna create a folder called views. Do we put views in source? Yeah, we'll put it in source. Then we have a folder called views. And then I want to have an index.tsx. Okay. Is it any more than that? Put the views outside of source. We don't even export anything. We literally just... Our editor is going to hate this because we don't even have a component that we export. We literally just define the thing. All right, I think I'm going to take what I had here in public. We'll delete public. We won't serve up the static public folder anymore. We might need to, but regardless, for now, this will be our index file. Yeah, we're compiling the whole folder source. Okay. And then we should now be able to do, when you make a GET request to /, we render the index. This should in turn attempt to render this. I don't think it's going to work because it's TSX though. Let's try it. let's see. Will it fail? I think we need to potentially set up TSX handling in our TS config. Let's see. Yeah. Failed to look up view index in views directory views. Not first try because I did this. It should be from the root, which is source/views. Does it need to be called JSX? Okay. We're closer. Unexpected token. Does it not like the doc type here? I think it doesn't like the doc type. Oh, and then I can't do self-closing tags. I have to close everything. All right, what is this complaining about? It works. Okay. That's cool and all, but I do want to call this TSX. I do, Tyrell. I like my theme. I want to call this TSX, and then I want my TS config to transpile it. So how do we tell TypeScript that we're working with working with that? Configure our TypeScript compiler for JSX. So there should be a JSX option here. React. And then we need to tell it that it should also include ESX files. JSX preserve? Yeah, I'm still streaming. I guess you could call it full-time. I'm trying to get back into streaming more often. All right, this needs to be class name. Why is this complaining? Missing semicolon? That's weird. And then char set is char set. All right, does it work with TypeScript now? Failed to look up views in the directory source views. Let's see what it does when we build it, where does it put the view? What is it called? This feels illegal. Look in dist, source, views. It's there. If we use typed HTML, I didn't know how we would do or how we would do like a view engine like this, like being able to do res.render like this. I just want to be able to render the templates. Let's try that. So JSX, is there a preserve option? But now it can't find it because I called it TSX. If we call it JSX, does it work? Yeah, so if we call it JSX, that's what that library is expecting. I guess that's fine. Do we really need? I guess no. We want types. We want type support in there. Can we tell it about TSX? There we go. Thank you, Eddie. Oh, nice, Tyrell. Is Express Engine TSX even a thing? I don't think it's a thing. Express TSX views 6 months ago. Oh, why is this so complicated? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use handlebars. We're gonna use handlebars. I want to be able to I want to be able to do res.render. That's it. I just want to be able to use res.render. I realize I think anything else I would have to just set up manually. So I don't want to do that. Cool. And then do I have to import it in? I guess I don't even have to register. I just do it. Let's see if this works. Hey! It works, sort of. Why? Oh, we can't use class name anymore. We have to use class. That's why. Beautiful. Okay. Express handlebars? How's that different from HBS? Oh, man. Oh, man. Do I just go with it? HBS is fine. We're not looking for any new features of it. Yeah. It's fine. It's working. We're going to leave it. We need to get moving. We're spending way too much time on setup, and we're not even actually like using or learning htmx. Okay, now. Let's get this working with handlebars instead of what we were doing before. So if you look at what we were doing before, we were just doing res.send. Good job. What we want to do instead, can I create a folder inside of views? Something like partials? And then inside of there, I have like a good job dot handlebars. And then, all right, so now we have a literally just have a template that says good job. And I want to be able to render will that work? It works wonderfully with no errors. Okay, so now we are no longer doing our own plain old HTML. Anytime we return HTML, it's actually being rendered by the server via these handlebars views. Great. We set it up. Let's do the thing now. And while I'm thinking about it, let's go ahead and uninstall all that extra stuff we installed. Does it still work? Beautiful. Okay. First step, a UI with an input and a place to display suggestions. So, on our homepage, we are now going to have, first of all, we will have an HT1 that says Autocomplete UI Showdown. And then we'll have a form. It will have an input. We'll have a placeholder of, I'm going to go to my old code base to remind myself what the UI looked like. And if we look at the vanilla example, I'm just going to copy this because it has all the styles. We just need to make it work. All right, so we already have a backend for this, and it suggests trees. So if we search for like ash, it gives us back, or it should give us back a list of all the trees that have the name ash in them. We can even do like single letters like G, and then this will give us back all the trees that have the letter G in them. So this is the API we're going to be using for this autocomplete. Great. Okay, so we have a we have a input area and then a place to display the suggestions. In this case, when we were building it with a front end app, we had internal state to keep track of what the value of that input was. Like right here, we needed internal state. In this case, we don't need internal state. Whatever we type is just what we're going to send to the server. And so this is where we'll display an error. This is how we'll display progress. We need to get all of this functionality working. So yeah, we have to think about it differently because we don't keep track of the filter value. It's just on the page. When the filter changes, get suggestions. We saw an example here with all of this stuff. I think this will get us started. Yeah, and here's the other fun part. the input literally has the name of the query parameter we want to send. So in our case, the query parameter is going to be filter. So our input needs to have the name filter, and it does. Look at that. But what that means is like when this sends a GET request, we are going to the query parameter will be filter, and so it'll send the right data across whenever that happens. Okay. For the GET, can we have a full-on URL? Let's see. Because if we do hx get and then we specify this full URL here, will this work? And then it'll be triggered on key up or key changed with a debounce, and then we need a target. Oh, I see. No, our backend is going to have to call this endpoint because we need to turn that JSON data into HTML. Yeah. So we still need that. So we're gonna have to do this our own, which is something like git/search like this. Yeah. So we're gonna have to do that. And then on key up or key changed after 500 milliseconds, we'll send the request, and then the target is going to be ID results. Yeah. So for now, we won't show progress. We won't show the error. We won't show this. We'll just get it working, and then we'll get all of the error handling and loading state and everything. We'll get all of that working as well. Okay, so we do this, and then we now need a backend route called search that calls this backend and turns it into HTML. So we'll put that in API. So in our API folder, we'll have a file called search. Yeah, API v1 search. And we need to make the request there. We'll just copy this because it's going to be a little express router. And it's going to respond with an array of strings, but we'll call this the search response. And we need to make a request here. We should just be able to use the built-in fetch. Oh, I guess we just use it. We don't have to import it. Is that real? We'll make this an async method. And then we'll pass in the filter, which is going to be rec.params.filter. Ooh. I think we can type these params because right now TypeScript is like, yeah, filter isn't on there. So you can say filter is of type string. Rec.query. Good call. Yeah, it's query. I guess, can you type the query? All right. So that makes the fetch request. We then get the results, which is parsing it as JSON. And then we need to render. Oh no, it's not. Here's the thing. It's not going to be an API because we're literally rendering out the results. I'm going to move this out of the API folder. But we'll render search results with results as the data that can be used. Great. But this no longer is an API. It's just going to be it'll just be in here. And then in the app, we'll pull it in. So we'll say use/search with our little search thing. I don't think I would separate it by SSR. I mean, there might be a better way to organize this stuff. We could call it routes. I like routes. Let's do that. Routes. And then we'll need to import search here from routes. We also could create like a top level route that imports all of the other ones, but this is going to be the only route that we have, so this should be fine. And I do think we're going to render from partials. So we'll do partials / search results. And so now in here, we'll have a file called search results.handlebars. And we need to use the each block like this. Like this. But the thing we're iterating over is results, like this. Because when we render the route, we're passing in this data called results, so we're going to get access to that here, and then we can do something with it. I think each one of these is just going to be an article. I can go look and see how we rendered this before, but basically inside of here, we might have an article, and then like an H2 or something with this. Like that. So will this work? We definitely got something wrong, but let's see. First try. That's crazy. Look at that. There's a certain amount of indirection here because this makes a request to our backend. Our backend makes a request to the autocomplete API. We then turn it into HTML and then we respond with it. But if we look at the network tab, we can see it happening. So like if we search for Ash, we can see that the server is literally responding with HTML. Like our server is sending back this HTML and then htmx is replacing it in the page itself. There's no sub alerts. I'm sorry, but thank you, One Computer Guy. Oh, you get to share both of them, yeah, because I hadn't streamed in a while. I'm gonna need. I have the logs running. I'm gonna try to debug like why the sub alert didn't pop up. All right, see you later, Augie. Yeah, everyone just wanted to see it working. So, but okay, we're only partially there though. Process is not defined? Let me fix my overlay really quick. Yeah, that would make sense. that makes total sense. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I generated that background today. All right. Does anyone happen to know my Twitch ID number? I'm guessing not. I can get it. That's not it. It starts with a 4. Yeah, you got it. It's by Ethereal. Thank you. Okay, this should fix the alerts overlay. or 2069 elite. All right. Now on to the tricky part though, right? So we've got the autocomplete working, but there are other aspects of this we need to make it like a good UI. We need error handling. So we have this built in to our autocomplete API. If you search for boom, it responds with an error, and we should render that error out. So first of all, we need to handle that error in our backend route. So we need to do something like if response.ok, then we do this. Actually, no, this is kind of amazing. We don't even need conditionals. We literally will just respond with the error message as HTML, right? We can literally just respond with error and then pass the result in, which has a message property on it. Let's just call this JSON. We can set the status codes too. Yeah. And now I'm getting it. Now I'm getting it. Now we can have an error partial here. Yeah, so I built the backend API here, so I know that even if it's an error, it responds with JSON. And so JSON parsing, totally fine. But if it's an error, it's going to be an object that has a message property that has the error on it. So, for instance, it looks like this. Message in a code. So, we can now grab what we wanted our error to be. And just render it. And so now we render the message right there. I guess it has to respond with a 200 status code. Yeah, so right now, if we respond with a 500 status code, which I guess is the proper thing to do, right? I mean, right? We somehow need to handle that with htmx. Otherwise, like if we don't set the status code to an error status code, it should just work. Yeah. Boom is valid for tree. I guess it's an English API. So response targets. I guess, yeah, that's okay. This is why server-side rendering gets weird, right? Technically, we are responding with valid HTML, right? Like we're responding with an error, but successfully. Yeah, like we are successfully generating HTML, even though technically, like it's an error response. This makes the server dependent of the client side. True. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. Like we have entangled ourselves with the client side, especially because we're setting styles, like we're potentially setting classes on the returned content. Absolutely. Yeah. Mission failed successfully. But the thing is, if we want to be less entangled, then what we could do is respond with just the message, and then on the client side, we have a space ready for the error that has these styles and everything set. I guess let's try to get that working. Like if we use this response targets extension, that could work, right? If we do hx target 500, then we could put the error there, and we would put all the styles in our main template. Do I have to use an extension though? The response targets extension. think I have to. I guess I have. I mean, any htmx wizards in the chat? Do I have to use this extension if I want to do what I'm talking about? Oh, true. And I haven't talked about that RV Dreist. Yeah, you could do content type negotiation. So right now, I am just assuming that you always want HTML. But we could look at the accept header, and if some clients want back JSON data, we could respond with just the JSON data and not the HTML. Yeah. All right, let's use this extension. Let's get this extension going because this will be more of what we want. Because then we don't even render anything. We can literally just do res.send json.message. So we're literally just sending back text. It's an error code. We're sending back text, and then this stays on the client side. But we need to bring in the extension, response targets. We then need to say hx target 500 is going to be where the errors go. And then but now I'm wanting to do conditional rendering though, because I have results here. And I only want to show this error if there was a if there was an error code. And I think I would just put like a span in here so that we're setting the styles here. Yeah, I see what you're saying, Killer, is like, now we're sending down more than we actually need. Oof. It really just comes down to like, how? Return the whole error HTML? So keep rendering it like I was doing before? I guess that's the whole thing, is there is no line. Basically, you're doing everything. And I think I missed that, Murdoch. Thank you for the 12 months over on YouTube. Appreciate that. Maybe I don't want this. I'm just going to go back to what I did before because that actually works the way I wanted. Like literally the result is to have an error. And I think I just don't set the error status code. I think that's what I'm going to go with. Specify a sibling as a target. Cool. So yeah, we're back to the functionality here. Now we need to get the progress bar showing. I think that's easy enough. There are loading indicators we saw. Let's read about it. If the error happens a lot, it makes sense to presend the HTML structure. Right. So like it's basically ready to go if there's an error. But if the error is rare, then we'll send it once it's needed. Right. Yeah, I think it's just an architecture decision you have to make. I would think as our code base grows, we could make that decision. Like, do we want to be rendering this entire element from the server side every time, or uh, send it once and then show it if we need it? All right. Um, let's read about indicators. So, when an AJAX request is issued, it's often good to let the user know that something is happening since the browser will not give them any feedback. You can accomplish this in htmx by using htmx indicator. htmx indicator is defined so that the opacity of any element with this class is 0 by default, making it invisible. When htmx issues a request, it will put an htmx request class onto an element. The htmx request class will cause a child element with the htmx indicator class on it to transition. Okay. If you want to add it to a different element, you can use the hx indicator. This is what we want. Okay. So, we have progress. The ID is progress. We give it a class of indicator. And then we tell the input that its indicator is progress. Is that it? Yeah. Look at that. That's awesome. Okay. Now, by default, we will actually send this like type to see suggestions and no suggestions to display. We're going to send that from our backend. Like by default, when the page renders, it's going to say type to see suggestions. And then on the back end, if they send us an empty request, an empty search, or an empty filter, we'll respond with that. And if our API responds with nothing, we'll say there are no suggestions to display. So this is going to just be conditional logic in our template here in search results. So something like if results.length, yeah. Yeah. And then these don't even need IDs. So I need to figure out how do I do a conditional in handlebars to look at the results length. I guess it's like svelte. Is it just if? If? Actually, we'll do this. If results is a thing, then we'll check. Else if? I need to figure out the syntax. But what I'm thinking here is if there is a response. So like if we look at, well, I guess we're not doing svelte, we're doing handlebars. But if our API responds with nothing, is it just an empty array? Yeah, it's just an empty array. So I guess let's also let's put the filter in here. So the view the template can take into account if the filter was empty. Like this. So we grab the filter here, but we also pass the filter down to the template. And so it can decide what it shows here. So something like this. If filter is empty, we will say type to see suggestions. If filter is not empty, then a nested if here. So if filter is not empty and results dot length is 0, else iterate over the results. Use the else with the each. Yeah. It's a front-end library. Wait, who's calling it a front-end framework? I didn't call it a front-end framework. I need to think through my logic here. It's getting a little messy. If there is a filter and results length has a value, no, we'll do this. Right here, we need an else if. Or just an else. Okay, let's figure out the right syntax. Yeah, thank you. Expressions. If. Okay, it's just if. If else. It's literally just else. If else. Yeah, easy. Handlebars supports else if. Do I need an else if? This could be an else if. Yeah. Actually, this can just be an else. So if there was no filter, render this. Otherwise, I guess I don't want. Like that? If there was no filter, we say type to see suggestions. If there was a filter and there were no results, we say no suggestions to display. If there are results, we display the results. I mean, maybe you did post to that Access Park. I'm trying to figure it out. Is there an else if? You can use any server-side rendering technology you want. We voted on handlebars. Well, actually, no, we didn't. We voted to use JSX. I couldn't get it working with Express quickly, so we shifted to handlebars. But yeah, literally anything that can return HTML, you can use. Yeah, I think I might just have to do this separately. Let's see if it works. Okay, so by default, it says type to see suggestions. And if we search for Ash, we get an error in rendering. Block helpers conditionals. Do we have to add this manually? All right. Where's our where's our error? Parse error on line if. Do I need an unless? No. Does this have to be a boolean? That's what I was just thinking. Yeah. If it has to be a boolean, then we have to use the unless helper. Inverse of the if helper. Its blocks will be rendered if the expression returns a falsy value. Wait. Does if work with why is this so hard? Does if work with I don't know, it works with falsy values. Let's get rid of trim. If not filter. Else. Oh. We're missing the hashtag. Right? No hashtag for else? Parsing on line 1. Expecting closing raw block. I will say this is my issue. I just can't figure out conditionals with. I mean, I could do it with separate conditionals. I know that much. We'll just do that because we're struggling and we should not be. We are programmers. We should be able to do this. Okay. What am I doing wrong? This should be able to be an expression here. We're responding with filter and results. Oh, I didn't handle what happens when the form is actually submitted. I need to do that. All right, it just straight up does not like my if block here. That's it. It does not like my if block. Um, yeah, I probably could have installed something for handlebars. Um, the CSS we're using is called Pico CSS. Oh, this one. But I figured it out. We're just gonna have to do it like this. So if there was a filter, um, if there were results, otherwise we say no results. And if there was not a filter, we say type to see suggestions. All right, this is it. Great. So we get back a response. If we do empty, it now says type to see suggestions. If we get an error, it now says error loading suggestions. If we do something like this, it should just say no suggestions to display. I think that's one issue though is if we start typing, I kind of want to hide the results immediately. Like I don't want to wait for the response. So for instance, if I start typing again, everything should be gone when a request is in progress. So how do I do that? And also, yeah, we're not canceling requests. So check it out. If we search for gum, it should happen, and then basically, as we start typing, all of the requests are still in progress. Um, I think it's taking care of that. I think it's taking care of race conditions. Let's do like a really low debounce and see how it behaves. Because right now the debounce is too long. 10 milliseconds. It's I think it's handling it correctly. Like if we look at these requests as they come through, one of the main issues that we had to solve is that some if multiple requests are fired off, some requests might return before others because our backend is purposefully like responding with a delay. Let me make it so you can actually see. Like it waits for the previous response before it ever does the next one. What is the icon next to search filter? Which icon? I think here's another way we can we can test it out. We need to make our backend take a really long time to respond. All right, now our backend's going to take a really long time to respond. Oh wow, it's waiting on the very first response. That is not a behavior that we want. Look, and let's also do it with no timeout or like no delay. Yeah, this is not good. I mean, I guess technically it missed all of the previous requests, but it never actually made them to begin with because the initial response oh yeah, that means it's a slow response because they're taking a long time. But look at this. What we want to happen is we want to cancel the search for A because we started typing B. That is something we're going to need to figure out because it's not aborting, and that functionality we do have whenever we implemented it on the front end with all the other front end frameworks. So how do we abort requests? We need to figure that out. And KV Earn, thank you for the hydrate. Do we have yeah, like any way to like abort? Is HX sync what we want? Oh wow, they do have abort. Yeah, they don't they just let Google do the searching. All right. First of all, I also need to handle I need to put this on the form because before when we submitted the form, it wasn't actually like if I press enter. Look how slow it is. Wait, where did the input box go? Oh, we need all of this on here as well. Ashley B, thank you for the prime. Did I? I didn't hear the notification though. I do need a favicon. Okay, here's the issue. By doing what I just did, both the form and the input now do the searching. So it did it doubly. I don't want that. We'll have to figure that out later. I think we do want to do this sync thing. Just remove the form. That's one way to do it. Actually, I'll make it a div because I do want it to be a container. Yeah, now hitting enter won't do anything, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we removed the timeout and everything just because I wanted to demonstrate that, like, it literally, it waits for the entire previous response to come back before even making this response. Like, I would have expected to see a request for, like, G and GU, but it waits for that one, and then finally when that one's done, it makes the request for empty. We need it to just, the moment the input changes, we need to cancel any request that was made. Abort the current request and replace it with this request. All right, let's do it. An Oxneo, thank you for the prime. Do I want closest? Just replace. Replace the existing request. Let's see. I broke it. The input will watch for requests on the form and abort the input's request if a form request is present. Oh, I guess we do need that if we're going to put the, if we wanted to have it in a form. This replace? Is that an option? Oh, here we go. When implementing active search, they tell us exactly what we need to do. Once a request is made, if the user begins typing again, a new request will begin even if the previous one is not finished. This is what we want. This is all we had to do was find it, but this should fix all of our woes, right? So if I start searching, yeah, it's aborting it aborts the request as the user types, and then only the current thing being typed is the actual request that gets completed. Wow, okay. It's great that this is all we needed. We just needed to find that that's what we needed. Yeah. Why put that at the bottom? Yeah, I mean, you know. Okay, but also we do want this. Now we have debouncing and aborting. Yeah, so I can type all day long, but it won't make the request until I've been done typing for 500 milliseconds. Okay. Is it possible to cancel the external API request in the backend? That would take a little bit more logic, but like, it technically would be possible. It seems complicated to me though, because you would basically on your back end, you would say, all right, if I have a new incoming request from the same client, abort any previous requests. It's possible. I've never done that before. Okay, so now it's working. We can get rid of all these weird timeouts. Cool. In a real world scenario, would it be important? I think like Anurag is mentioning, even when you use like abort controller on the client side here, it technically just stops listening for the response. The server is still technically going to respond to that request. You would have to implement something custom in your backend that determines that it needs to cancel the outgoing response. Basically, you're dealing with the HTTP protocol at that point. Okay. Let's look at our list to make sure we're doing everything. Okay. We're getting suggestions. We're now showing a loading indicator. We show the suggestions. We show an error. We clear out the suggestions when the filter is cleared. We're debouncing and we're aborting. The one minor thing that we're not doing is the UI needs to be cleaned up a little bit, right? When the progress bar shows up, I actually want to hide. I want to hide the results. Pre-flight requests are never canceled if you cancel a CORS request. I guess I didn't know that. What's up, Stony? So if I open a slow web page in the browser and then close it, it will just ignore the response. Yes, that server is still going to respond. That server is still going to send the response back to the client, but now there's just nothing listening for it. But yeah, that's actually what happens. Yeah. Okay. This is what I want. You see that when that progress bar shows up, I want to hide the results to have the same functionality as when we implemented it otherwise. So how do I do that? I mean, right now we're using indicators. Yeah, we have to use CSS, but how exactly? I think we could, but how would I hide it with htmx? Is there some kind of event like request in progress? Yeah. Use the same request class as a target on another element. Hello, welcome in. We're learning htmx today. Events. On before request. Embed scripts in line. Is this what I want to do? So before request, hide the element. After the request, show the element? With JavaScript? Is this the way to go? What's the CSS tools extension? Oh, there's an extension for htmx called CSS tools. htmx swapping class. Okay. Yeah, you can send links. Yeah, go for it. Add the class foo after 100 milliseconds. Okay. Upon getting a response, the target element is marked with the htmx swapping class. htmx request class is applied to the appropriate elements. Okay, let's see. Let me see if I'm understanding this. So this makes the request. Because the target is results, this is going to get a class applied to it called htmx request. Oh. Can I literally, is it literally as easy as just hide it? So when a request is in progress, hide the thing. No. No. Not quite anyways. Because htmx request is getting applied to progress as well. Honestly, let's look at the DOM and see what happens when a request happens. Yeah, let's look at the inspector. All right, so htmx request gets applied to progress. But it doesn't get applied to results. Why is that? I could say, I mean, I guess I could do something like the next element selector. So, yeah, I believe it gets the swapping class. That's what we just read. So it gets the htmx swapping, adding, and settling. All of those get added and removed onto the results element. But I guess we could say, like, based on our layout here, if when htmx request gets applied, the next sibling, what's the next sibling selector? Like hide the next sibling. I don't know. What's the CSX next sibling? Plus? So just the sibling next to it, hide that when this is applied. That didn't work. Is it the greater than? Maybe it was the plus. I don't think I refreshed. Oh. Div. Next div. That's it. For our use case, this is the way to do it. We select the next element after the progress and hide it when it's in progress. That seems fine. Yeah, still Toad. It's been so long since I've done CSS stuff. I just forget everything if I don't use it for a while. Yeah, I would think, I mean, I don't know. I guess anybody that uses htmx a lot that has come across scenarios like this, they might have a different solution for this, but this is the behavior we want. When a request is in progress, hide the existing results. And our way of doing that was literally the div that is next to the requester gets hidden. And that's fine. Cool. Yeah, I do believe so. htmx is stable. I mean, they are a stable library, currently version 1.9.9. I don't know who's using it in production, but it's definitely not experimental. I am satisfied with the amount of things that we did, right? So let's kind of do like a quick review of all the things we learned. But we were able to reach feature parity for something that we actually before we only implemented on the client side. So if you are showing up late, first of all, we voted on and decided that we were going to learn htmx today. But in order to try it, we decided we were going to do this, which I've done in the past. So the Autocomplete UI showdown was actually inspired by a video that Mutru did, where she did an interview question and solved it with React. But I took that same interview question and then implemented it and solved it with all these front-end frameworks. And I had never even considered trying to do it like server-side rendered. But all of these solutions run completely on the client side. This is combined client, and server. But the idea here is there's a lot to consider with an autocomplete UI. One especially is request cancellation, which is pretty, I mean, not that tricky, but somewhat tricky on the front end, where like if I search for something and then immediately search for something else, and then immediately search for something else, you can see how we finally got it working where it actually cancels the previous request when a new request comes in. But that's something that we had to implement with all of these front-end frameworks. And then also like error handling. So if the API or if our backend responds with an error, we need to be able to show an error message, all that stuff. But we figured it out with htmx. Let's just do a quick rundown of how we solved all this stuff. A UI input with a place to display suggestions. When we were implementing this with the front-end framework, we had to manage state. So we had like a state variable that was keeping track of whatever the input was, and that's how we would use that input to make a request to our backend or to the API. In this scenario, we don't need any state because the state's already on the page, like it's in the input element. And so all of these attributes essentially get us the functionality we needed. Of course, we had to implement the backend as well. But yeah, the HTML is the state of our application. We don't have variables for the state or anything like that. Yeah. And so when the filter changes get suggestions, and they actually had a pretty simple example set up for us, which was we listen for specific events on this element. So when either the key up or changed event is fired, we then will make a GET request to /search. And we also have built-in debouncing here. So one of the things is if a user is typing, you don't want to make the request until the user is done typing for 500 milliseconds, and that is known as debouncing. We implemented that in all of the various front-end frameworks, but for us, it's as easy as just putting a delay on it. And then when those results come back, we tell it where we want to put them. In this case, we're going to put them on the element with ID results. And when a request is in progress, we want to show this progress bar. So all of this stuff is built into htmx that just kind of makes it all work. We did have to do the work of making things server-side rendered, though. So we created this backend route. And in this case, we're using Express with handlebars, but your backend for HTMX could literally be anything. Like it doesn't have to be Node.js. It could be any backend that can return HTML could be your HTMX backend. In our case, I already know Node.js, so that's what I implemented it with. And this is our search route. We make the request off to some API that does the auto completion for us. And then when we get back the results, we just server-side render the results ourselves. So here we're using handlebars. All of this gets rendered on the server side. We basically generate the HTML, and then that generated HTML gets plopped right into this results section here. But we handle all of the errors and everything on the back end too, and then we can like render an error and return that. But yeah. Killer says, what concerns me is the data flow. It feels all over the place. You'd need global reasoning, and it can get harder as you scale up, don't you think? I don't know. I mean, I'd have to build a larger, more complex application to like make an opinion on that. For this, easy enough. I do like that, like, we literally had to write 0 client-side JavaScript. All of the code we wrote was server-side to do some rendering and like generation of HTML. There's very little JavaScript we had to write, which is interesting. And I think that's one of the why some people like htmx or want to use htmx, especially if they already know some other backend language. Another thing, everything is wired up with strings. It's going to be so easy to mistype. And yeah, so I would be curious, are there plugins for, I guess we didn't even try to find the extension for htmx. But you're completely right, Killer. Like that's like the dev experience of knowing which attributes to use in your HTML and getting autocomplete and knowing if there's an error in your attributes and that kind of thing. That's definitely something to consider. Yeah, so Primogen made, is that a language server or what did he do? I'm surprised that there's only 2 results for htmx plugins in VS Code. This one looks good. It only has 10,000 installs though. Lisp? Lisp? Yeah, give me the link. I don't know what you all are talking about. Wait, is this a Vim thing? I don't use Vim and I don't know much about Vim, so that's why this is foreign to me. No published extension yet. There's a development extension in this folder. Is that what LSP is? I just don't know what LSP stands for. Somebody help me. LSP sits outside of the editor. Oh, language server protocol. That's what I said. That's what I said. Did he build a language server? Right? Didn't I say that? I'm pretty sure I said that. But extensions in VS Code can integrate with the language server. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Something like this is definitely going to be needed. I mean, I think for bigger code bases. I'm going to try this htmx tags extension. Let's see how it works. Yeah, so we get a bunch here. The issue is, I think like Killer was mentioning, all right, what if I make a typo in my selector here? This is going to be hard to debug. Maybe, I actually don't know. Will we get an error? I guess we'll get an error at runtime if the element you're trying to append to doesn't exist. Let's see. Yeah, so we get a runtime error, but I would hope for like an in-editor error that says, hey, you literally have no element called result. Fix that. So yeah, that part of the dev experience I think is at least lacking right now, and I think that's what it would take for a lot of people to maybe start using it. Yeah. How would the editor know? I mean, you need a language server. You would parse the template. In this case, you would look at that parsed syntax tree and determine, does this ID selector exist? Basically, at that point, you're really making HTML smart. Like when have we when have we ever gotten like compile errors in our HTML? I guess the closest thing is JSX, right? JSX would potentially yell at you. But I think even JSX wouldn't be smart enough to know like that selector doesn't exist. I don't know, but you brought up a great point. I think this is one of the things that's potentially lacking, like, and which would make me think that this is probably good for like smaller solutions, right? Like little one-off pages and stuff. I don't know if it really could replace an entire React app, especially when thinking about the developer experience. But yeah. I don't know. But it was fun. It was fun learning about all these things. Because we discovered a lot of these attributes, like the indicator, and then also this one was key. This is the one that actually cancels requests. And yeah, so one line of me keeps linking that. Let's check it out, because this is like the real world example of like taking a React app and porting it. Reduced the code base size by 67%. Increased Python code by 140%, which is a good thing if you prefer Python. Reduce their JS dependencies, reduce their build time. Fascinating, yeah. I mean, yeah, I won't watch this video now, but I think anyone that is at least curious about htmx might check this out to see if it's something that they would want to switch to. All right. Do we call it there for htmx? Is there anything else that I should explore with it? Let me put my opinions. How do you spell opinions? First off, we wrote we wrote 0 front-end JavaScript. That is one outcome of this solution. We wrote some server-side rendered code. So basically, I think that's one of the results of htmx is you shift from writing front-end code to writing more back-end code. And depending on your team, depending on what you prefer, that could be a good thing. I think that's kind of like the selling point right there, is like, if you don't want to be writing more front-end JavaScript, this is probably something that you might like. I will say the docs are really good. Everything we wanted to do, we found in the docs. We didn't have to go to Stack Overflow. Obviously, the Twitch chat helped me, but every time someone was helping me, they literally just linked to the docs. So that's a really good plus for htmx, is like almost everything you want to do, it's right there. The inline examples are useful. Like every example we saw was like, oh yeah, I could see how that would apply to what I would want to do. Cool. So, what else? Did I mention anything else that I'm not writing here? Like, I think here's the thing, is like, would I use it again? Probably not. I really don't like server-side rendering. Early in my career, I built things server-side rendered and slowly realized that if my APIs just return JSON, then they could be used anywhere. They could be used in web apps, they could be used in desktop apps, they could be used in mobile apps. And it is a little bit more work, because you've now separated things, where you have something that's like purely data oriented, and now you need like custom client implementations everywhere that needs a client. But Um, in almost every situation of the kinds of apps that I build, that seems like it was a good decision to make. Yeah, like I guess that's the other thing is you could do content type negotiation, right? You could decide if this client is requesting JSON, we send them JSON. If not, I render it myself. But I mean, C17R is like has a great point, right? Like it's potentially double the work. But I don't see it's I don't think it's a straight double, right? And in my experience, it's not a complete doubling of everything, especially with more modern frameworks and solutions where you can share a lot of the code. Like with the mono repo, you can share your validators, you can share your types, those kinds of things. And then like the other aspect is like when you're doing things this way, you build backends that are stateless, right? The backend basically is for every incoming request, it's brand new. Like it doesn't. I guess the other aspect of that is I build things without sessions, so everything is based on the incoming request, which means your backend doesn't have state. Like, I mean, your backend, the state is, I guess, the database, but state is all about the client because the client is the thing that has made multiple requests and needs to know like the current state of the world in terms of how the user has interacted with the application. I guess. Am I making sense? I don't know. Maybe that's not a good enough reason for you, but I keep going back just to the I haven't found a single thing where like it just makes more sense to do the server side rendering. Like it just seems like every time I do it, I'm like, well, that should have just been a JSON route because now it is double the work because I did the server side rendering, but now I have a client that actually does need the JSON anyways. The main conclusion here is I'm just not a fan of SSR. And with HTMX, you're doing a whole lot of SSR. I think if I had to do server-side rendering, like if I was forced to, this seems like a pretty decent solution. The thing is when you contrast it or compare it with something like Next.js or Nuxt or SvelteKit, they're kind of like the best of all the worlds. They do hybrid rendering. So it's like, if it needs to be server-side rendered, it is, but it can also just be a purely client-side application. And it handles all of that for you. But you're basically buying into like the JavaScript ecosystem if you choose one of those. Yeah. And so, yeah, all of my opinions are about the fact that I don't want to use SSR, not that I don't want to use HTMX. Like I said, if I had to, this seems like a pretty fun way and pretty nice way to not have to write a lot of client-side code. Because that's the other thing is like I have worked in large code bases that were doing server-side rendering, like with Express. And at the time, I think it was like Jade templates and stuff like that. And you run into this weird scenario where, okay, you're building out your server rendered routes, but you still need client-side JavaScript. So now you have to like just add a script tag to the rendered page, and like that gets messy. So like this seems like it would be a lot nicer. Yeah, I don't think SEO is a good argument for SSR these days, just because search engines will run JavaScript. Now you could argue that. If you'll have slower page loads because of the JavaScript, and then you'll get a lower ranking. But I think this is the other thing is like, I've never had to care about SEO. Like all of the applications that I'm building, typically, like when I was in industry and like working at a consultancy, they're internal applications. Like I don't build publicly facing like e-commerce websites and stuff like that. And that's really where you want like the benefits of SEO and like faster initial page loads and stuff like that. But essentially all the apps that I've been building in my career are like just smart clients. Like it's basically like mobile apps, but just running inside of the web browser. And that's most of what I build. I think what I've called myself is a software engineer that uses web technologies to build solutions and build applications. It just so happens that the software I'm building is a web app now. It's a full stack web app with a front end and a back end, but in the before times, it would have just been like a backend API with a front end that was a desktop app. My client solutions have just shifted into the web browser essentially. But yeah, I think that's a tricky part of like when you're having this conversation of like SSR or not. People are building different kinds of things, and the kinds of things that I build, I think are just fine without SSR. So yeah, but yeah, we naturally go to this discussion when we're working with htmx because there's a lot of it. But overall, the verdict is the docs are really good. If this is something that you want to do, htmx seems great for it. I'm probably not going to use it again though. That's my verdict. Yeah, Nux seems really cool. I want to jump back into Nux. I tried it like once. My opinion on front end masters. They have a bunch of really good courses, and I think they have like a monthly fee, so it's probably worth it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no worries, Neff. And I think that's my main point, which is like hard to get across, like especially like in Twitter arguments and stuff like that. Is like I'm just not building applications that need or like benefit from SSR. Yeah. Well, yeah, like with Udemy, you buy each individual course. With front end masters, as far as I know, they have uh, a monthly pricing. Yeah, look at that. $39 and you get access to a ton of courses. You could probably buy the courses one off too, but you might just like look through their courses, see if there's any that interest you, and then get it for a month to see if it's worth it. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. All right. How long have I been live? A little over 3 hours. Is there anything else that I want to try today? And actually, I'll push this code up so you can see all the codes that I wrote. All right, see you later, Mark. Thank you for hanging out. Yeah, let me push this code up. Why not react to videos of developers using htmx? Are there videos of developers using htmx? I guess somebody could react to this video of me using it. Yeah, I would imagine. I would imagine anyone that writes in a backend language that isn't JavaScript and like kind of despises the front end, always looks at front end code as like the last thing they do or the thing that they dread. They're gonna love it, right? They just have to write less front end code. What's my Twitch ID? Yeah, give me a second. I'll send it over. All right, we are on GitHub. Here. If you want to see the code we wrote today, you can go into the folder. These are all the notes I took. And then this folder has the actual code. Really, the bulk of yeah, thank you guys. Wait, no, that's not it. Come on. The bulk of the code is in the views folder here. This is all the htmx we had to write. And hey, I missed your message earlier, Al Haji Wanu. I've been in the industry over 10 years. There's more details on the frequently asked questions over here. Though it might be like a year or two out of date. So I need to add a year or two. History of Coding Garden. And then also, am I self-taught? How long have I been coding? All that good stuff is all here in the frequently asked questions. Yeah, well, we talked about that earlier, America 2050. We've decided, well, I decided I'm at least going to be taking a break from listed on Fridays. And we're going to do Try Day Friday because people like to see me try new things. And it's fun to learn while I learn. But what we're going to try to do is in the future, we're going to do like a listed sprint week where we do one stream, like a stream every single day in the week. And we just do everything we can to get listed as complete as possible, basically like ready, launch ready. We haven't tried Drizzle, but that would be a good topic for the future. We need a better way of managing these lists of topics of things that I should try. For now, it's just in the README. Honestly, we should just use GitHub. We could do it as GitHub issues. I would say, let's do that. If you have something you want me to try and it's not on that list yet, open up an issue. We'll also figure out a better way to list out the things that we're going to try in the future. This could be a whole thing. We can now have like a schedule like 2 or 3 weeks in advance of all the things I'm going to try. I don't know. For now, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you everybody for hanging out. This was awesome. I appreciate all the supports. I think my alerts weren't working. Hopefully they're fixed now. But Oxneo, thank you for the resub. Anybody else, if I missed you, thank you. Damon, thank you for the resub. Vinny, thank you for the resub. I appreciate you all. Your names will be in the credits as well. If you're new here, I will leave you with some light reading before I leave. You can check out the frequently asked questions. I also have a YouTube channel. I'm live over on YouTube right now as well. And I have a mailing list. So if you want to get go live notifications or weekly updates, join the mailing list. And I also have a Discord. Yeah. And Oscar, I'll DM you my Twitch ID. And I have a schedule. I haven't kept it up to date, but hopefully there will be like a Monday or a Tuesday stream, and then we'll have the schedule going forward from there. Let's go on a raid. You can find the raid messages here. If you're a sub, this is your raid message. If you're not a sub, you can use this raid message. If you're over on YouTube, head to twitch.tv/codinggarden, and you will just go along with us on the raid. So if you go here, just wait around for a few minutes. Whoever we decide to raid, you'll automatically get taken over to their stream. Thanks everyone for hanging out, for providing suggestions and asking questions, and we'll see you next time. Not that, no. Wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And until next time, here's this.